This week on Sportsman TV, Humberto Fontova will be cooking up his redfish ceviche. Captain Charlie Thomason will be showing how he uses double rigs to catch speckled trout. And Greg Hackney will demonstrate how he focuses on catching bigger than average bass. Come go with us.
Over here at Bowie Outfitters, hunting and fishing is our passion. We can help you pick all the right gear for your next fishing trip. We spend time in the woods too, so we know what products to recommend when hunting season comes around. We understand the outdoors and what it takes to have success on your hunting and fishing adventures. So come on down to Bowie Outfitters and let us help get you going. Bowie Outfitters, everything outdoors. Over here at Bowie Outfitters, hunting and fishing is our passion. We can help you pick all the right gear for your next fishing trip. We spend time in the woods too, so we know what products to recommend when hunting season comes around. We understand the outdoors and what it takes to have success on your hunting and fishing adventures. So come on down to Bowie Outfitters and let us help get you going. Bowie Outfitters, everything outdoors.
Okay, amigos, tonight we're going to be preparing Humberto's famous sheephead ceviche, but we'll be using redfish instead. When you're making ceviche, any firm white flesh fish will work. Sheephead, drum, puppy drum, redfish, obviously, triggerfish, obviously. Okay, so first of all, the first order of business is to obviously fillet the redfish. Now you'll notice that I still have the skin and the scales on this redfish. Reason is that in my experience, the best way to freeze fish is to leave the skin and the scales on, put the fillets flesh side together, and then wrap them in aluminum foil. And probably most of y'all know how to do this already, but we're gonna do it just for the heck of it. See, and this is the interesting thing, folks. This fish has been frozen for several weeks. But look how red, as I'm saying, when you leave the skin and the scales on, even after it's been in the freezer for a while, that section close to the skin remains red. And folks, that is the key to fresh fish. We're gonna do the second one. This is probably what, about 3-4 pound redfish? Ideal size, isn't it? Isn't that what we all love? Yeah. And then it's a simple matter of dicing the meat. Now, some people, you remember when Cuisinarts were all the rage. You can still do that. I mean, you can put this meat in a Cuisinart. I prefer to do it this way because it is a labor of love, amigos. Dicing. You might say cubing, but it's more like dicing because you want it pretty finely cut, more so than if it was just cubed. And for that purpose, I employ this item. We'll just dice, do the whole process myself. Fresher than normal because of the skin and the scales that remain on the fillets when I froze them. Into the bowl they go. Now, since it so happens that Creole tomatoes are in season, my ceviche season luckily coincides with our Creole tomato season down here in South Louisiana. which is very, very convenient. We're going to dice again. No major revelation here. We're doing the same thing we did with the redfish meat. Now what I like to do is I like to use like about half fish meat and then about a quarter to a third Creole tomato and about another quarter to a third sweet onion. This is not exactly the kind of ceviche recipe that you're going to find elsewhere, but that's just, especially around Mardi Gras time, 4th of July time. No one has complained that these are not the ceviche recipes that they find on the Food Network. Humberto, where'd you come up with that stuff? Well, I live in South Louisiana, so you know how it is. We don't follow recipes down here. I grew up down here. We don't follow recipes. So now we've got the Creole tomatoes and the redfish in there. Now we're going to go to the sweet onion. Simple matter of dicing. The finer, the better for the onion. Because, you know, if you get a big chunk of onion, a lot of people, it'll overwhelm the flavor of all the wonderful ingredients which we have it here, like the redfish. So here we are with the onions, diced Creole tomatoes, diced fresh redfish fillets. Now we're going to do something that is not recommended in any recipe that I have seen, but ask my dinner guests. We're going to add a couple of spoonfuls of locally produced Italian olive salad. Central Groceries is wonderful. Any one of those local ones are great. A couple of spoonfuls. Again, you don't want to overwhelm it, but just a couple of those add a delicious, delicious texture to a meal that normally is not supposed to carry it. So we mix all that up. Diced redfish, diced Creole tomatoes, diced sweet onion, and Italian olive salad as made in the New Orleans area. The only thing that we've got to do now is add a little bit of cilantro and Italian seasoning. We had some of that already in the Italian salad. But man, if you cook in South Louisiana, you can't overdo the Italian seasoning. Now we will simply cover this wonderful, wonderful, gorgeous mixture with lime juice. Squeeze limes into it, fresh limes. Don't use that lime juice that you can get in a bottle. In my experience, it doesn't work too good. In a pinch, use it, especially if you have fresh fish, but otherwise get fresh limes and squeeze until you've got the thing basically covered. What I found when I usually make a portion of ceviche, I usually 4 to 5 limes do the trick. Remember, you saw the redfish. It was probably what, 3-pounder, 3.5 pounder. I found that 1 lime per pound is a very rough estimate for me. We're going to go in with a little balsamic vinegar. Not a lot, because as you know, vinegar can overwhelm. It overwhelms salad, it'll overwhelm ceviche just as much. Call it EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. On top of that, for added flavor, I like to throw in balsamic vinaigrette dressing. Wow, I ain't never seen that in no recipe for ceviche, neither have I. Not a lot, that's about right. And now, the order of business now is to simply let the lime cook the fish. It's not really raw. You'll notice that lime juice will turn fish meat white, probably in an hour to an hour and a half. Typically, I will leave this gorgeous, gorgeous mixture in the refrigerator overnight. We cut out the center section of the French bread, but heaven forbid that we should let wonderful New Orleans style French bread portions go to waste. So what we do now is we'll butter them and put them in the oven and toast them a little bit and use them as kind of like large, delicious makeshift crackers on which to eat the ceviche. Again, there's nothing wrong with using regular crackers, but man, if you can make them out of French bread, and here we are ladling on chunks of Creole tomato, chunks of olives from the olive salad. And what I like to do is I like to season it right as I'm eating them, because if you put the seasoning in the ceviche and you let it sit there, as you all know, the salt will draw out the liquid from the fish and it liquefies it too much and it retards the flavor, in my opinion, and makes it too liquid. This way, ceviche on French bread crackers. Can't go wrong.
The Blue Ice Pack's part of the Chill and Brew series. Now this may be one of the most popular ones because everyone likes a cold beer. If you're heading out to a tailgate and you need to pack up 2 cases of beer, this is gonna keep it cold all day or until they're gone. Now this works great on the boat. If you're gonna go out and have a day where you need to pack a lot of drinks, this is really what's gonna keep it right at that above freezing temperature. The Chill and Brew series is also good for keeping ice extended. If you wanna put this in with your regular ice, it'll keep it cold longer. So these are good for drinks, waters, sodas, and beer.
Shell employees and their families enjoying our Louisiana sportsman's paradise. Louisiana is where we live, and we're proud to call it home. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana.
It's that time of year, CCA Star Tournament time.
We might have a star winner, folks!
Don't miss your chance for more categories, more prizes, and more smiles. Young and old, there's a division for everyone. You can win a truck, RV, boat, and much more. Sign up today for a chance to become an early bird winner. The fun starts Memorial Day weekend. Visit CCA Star to get your ticket today.
On this segment of Sportsman TV, Captain Charlie Thomason will be fishing double rigs for trout. Double rigs can be extremely productive by offering fish 2 baits at a time and triggering an instinctive bite. Follow along as Captain Charlie breaks down double rigs in this coastal fishing concept.
Oh, there he is. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hey everybody, now we're getting into the time where I really like to fish double rigs. It's an old style of fishing and kind of a new style. And man, let me tell you, it can be extremely productive, offering these fish 2 baits at one time, triggering an instinctive bite, which will make you a more successful angler on the water. Wait until you see what these do. Awesome little trout. All right, nice one. Now, I'll tell y'all, the reason why double rigs work so well is because it offers the fish something very similar to what they have in the water. We got fish right now ganging up on these high current points, and what they're doing is they're holding there, ambushing. Normally they're just going around out in the open water and feeding on shrimp or whatever's coming through at the time. But really right now, there's a lot of bait getting moved with that tide, and because that's happening, we're actually giving them something that looks natural, like a big school of shrimp coming through. It triggers an instinctive bite, and I'll tell you right now, unbelievable fishing and very productive. I mean, limits really quick, and it gives you time that if you have kids, 2 at a time, they'll never forget it. Okay, everybody, now what I'm doing is, everybody wants to know always, like, how do I know where to find a spot like this? I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that I love to do that when the fish are really striking on bait that's coming through, mullet, shrimp, anything like that, you want to hit a falling tide. Falling tides are key. And then what you want to do is you want to have like a bayou on one side, comes up onto a flat, goes through the flat, and then goes out another bayou. And that flat right there, what happens is those bait fish transition on that flat, trying to stay off of it. But the thing is that current coming through, it doesn't allow them to get into the deep water yet because it's really strong tides. So when a strong tide starts happening, this bait gets pushed along these banks, oyster shells on the bottom, and guess what? A recipe, there he is, a recipe for awesome fishing, and hopefully 2 at a time. Let's see what we got here. We got a nice one here. It's either a nice one or it's 2. No, it's a nice one. Look at that. Beautiful. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, you know, hey, Captain Charlie, I see you fishing with a sparkle beetle, and then I have a matrix lemonhead on here. Why am I using this style bait on the back and then a beetle on the front? I'm going to tell you. The reason why is because I need something to slow this bait down for me. So the resistance of this bait allows the bait to go through the water. My double rig, my sparkle beetle will stay up a little higher. This will give me the resistance and the vibration to attract the fish. Once one of them hits this, normally the front one is the one that you get the second one on. This time, we got just the first one on, but I think I had 2 on. They keep getting off on me, but this is a nice one. Nice, about 14, 15-inch trout. Take them all day. All right, there's one right there. Now, one thing that I'm gonna tell you is that I like to do is when I'm fishing double rigs, I know I'm mostly fishing for speckled trout. So what I do is I usually go down a little bit on my rod and reel combination. I have this 13 Fishing TX series. It's a prototype, they call it. And what it is, this is a 3000 series reel. It's really small, easy to palm. The reason for that is you're doing a lot of casting, a lot of retrieving. The other thing is I go to a medium action rod. And the reason why that is I want that rod to be able to give a whole bunch when I hook up 2 of them, because they're gonna be fighting different ways and really pulling, and I don't wanna lose them. So that's why I do it that way. Another nice little speckled trout right here. Now they're hitting on the back of the double rig, which normally I catch them a lot on the front and then I catch them on the back. So it's telling me right now, hey, this color, this chartreuse style matrix is really doing it for me. I'm gonna keep that glow on just in case, but probably if I went to double these, I'd catch a double. I might even do it just for fun. Awesome fish. All right, everybody. Double rigs, you can buy them pre-made. You can buy them from going to Academy or anywhere to get a pre-made double rig. I'd rather do it myself. I want to know that I can get the length of my line correct. Plus, I want to have the ability, if I want to put 3/8 ounce jig head, 1/2 ounce jig head, 1/4 ounce, or even 1/8 or 1/16 ounce jig heads to change up the depth and variation of where my bait's going to locate. Today, we had 2 1/4 ounce jig heads. We put 2 different style plastics on there. We have the matrix, and we just got a regular H&H sparkle beetle. I like the glow with the little orange tail. Now, one of the things I do, neat little trick, use a koozie around your spool of line so it keeps it from untangling everywhere. But what I always do is I do about 30 inches of line. I just take that line, I'll cut it, and then I have both ends right here. I won't double it up. I'll take it, double it over, and then actually just go, okay, I'm gonna move back about 1/3 of the way back. So that's about like this. So I have it, I'll take it, I tie a knot at the top, just an overhand knot. And the reason for that is where I'm gonna tie my line back to my pole. Then off of that, you see one line shorter, the other one's longer. You would take these 1/4 ounce jig heads, tie each one on the tag ends of these, and you have your double rig right there. Quick and easy, simple as ever. And the number one trick with all of this is, you have to use 30-pound line. If you use anything lower or bigger than that, I have always found through all the years of my fishing, the 30-pound test, in our water here, the salinity up along the northern Gulf Coast, the baits will sink just right. 40-pound, it goes too high. If I go to 20-pound, they stay too deep. I'm telling you, I know as crazy as it sounds, 30-pound is what you need. So just go get you a spool of Berkley Big Game 30-pound, make you a few of these leaders, wrap them up around something, and get ready to go out there and catch fish just like we're doing. Oh, there he is. Oh, I think it's a good one. Well, y'all, I hope you try this concept, because I'm gonna tell you, Not only does it produce a lot of fish, it produces good fish, and it's just one awesome way and fun way to fish. Let's check him out. Oh man, I'll tell y'all, if you don't get out and fish double rigs, there must be something wrong with you. That's all I can say. Wow, what a yellowmouth, and we'll see y'all next time. Man, it's so awesome.
I'm pro angler Andy Montgomery. I've been making my living with Strike King products for a long time. So when they showed me the new tour grade line, I was all in. I knew I could trust it. What I didn't know was how easy it was to use. With the spooling tool and the prepaid envelope to recycle your old line included in every single box. Not only is it the best line on the market, it gives you the easiest fishing experience possible. Find out more at StrikeKing.com.
We rise at 4 a.m., driven by an overwhelming passion. We're driven by the beasts that roam the waters of this great country. We don't think about stress, or bills, or Monday. We're fishermen, always ready. And as for the gear we hold, trust is everything. Never again should you sacrifice strength for style. The Team Lose Pro TI Speed Spool, built for anything you set the hook on.
As sportsmen, we seek out the very best craftsmanship in many aspects of what we do. We take great pride in the work we put in because we want the very best results possible. Those same philosophies are how we do things at Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm. We craft each case to the individual needs of our client, and we take pride in our work to protect your rights. To schedule a free consultation, just give us a call at 225-223-6333.
For professional angler Greg Hackney, finding fish is not always hard, but finding the right sized fish can be a challenge. In this segment of Louisiana Sportsman TV, Hackney shows the tips and tricks he uses to find larger fish.
Swamp bass out there, Jerry. Duck blind fish a little bigger than them in that grass. Ooh, you eat that jig. May just be a timing deal now. The fish are coming out from under that stuff because he wasn't underneath. He was out on the edge.
While fishing grass mats earlier in the day, Hackney was able to get on a good bite. The fish he caught were averaging a small size, so Hackney decided to change tactics and move on to fishing duck blinds. He also changed over to a larger bait, a 1/2-ounce Hack Attack flipping jig.
Now that one caught it on the fall. I picked up, he was running off with it. So we got us a jig bite now going on some duck blinds. I'm just running isolated cover trying to catch a better fish. The first one I caught, was a big one, but we fish that grass. I got lots of bites flipping, but I never got any of those bigger bites. This morning, it seemed like those fish are a little more affected by that cold wind, and it's warmed up this afternoon, and all those fish this morning were deep, way back in something, under something, way back. And like that fish is on the very outside of the pole, caught the bait falling. It's like now, later in the day, it stayed cloudy. It's like finally the weather's catching up with them. Big bass pattern on them duck blinds. Damn, I don't know if he's hooked very good or not. Before I swing him over, yeah, he's good. Yes, sir. We have figured out how to get a quality bite. It's all about that duck blind and that 1/2-ounce black and blue jig. Just a totally different fish from the fish we've been, caught on those mats. A lot of fish in the grass, but definitely the bigger fish seem to be on hard cover, on isolated cover. These fish were probably under that stuff, under those blinds this morning, and now they're out on the edge and they're biting. They knocking the slack in the line on that jig. So, I'm trying to be real thorough. All these duck blinds are a little different. This one here has some hyacinth and some other weeds blown in on it. Some of the other ones, were just straight wood. Another thing is, especially when I get around where they're dilapidated, I'm feeling out there. Like that first big one I caught was on a piece of cover that I couldn't see. And so what I'm doing, I'm pitching up there to all the visual, and then I'm fishing that bait back to the boat because I'm feeling that wood, those outside. And that first one I come over, you know, a piling or something off of that blind that was out there under the water, and that's where I got bit. Anytime you get around where they're broke down, you know, and a lot of these blinds have been here for years, and you can tell by looking at them, and a lot of times they rebuild them. So there'll be pieces of that old blind out there under the water, but main thing is just being real thorough. And you know what I had planned on when I started fishing them, you know, the jig was my first choice just because that's such a great way to catch. It's a big fish bait, you know, and it's real efficient. But if I hadn't, that would be the other thing. I'd have 3 or 4 baits, a spinner bait, a worm, you know, some other stuff to try if I didn't get bit, and to be real thorough. I can rotate around through all these blinds, let them rest. By the time I get, let's say, out of most of them, turn around and start over and do it again. And a lot of times you can pick up a few more fish. You know, we came out to fish some isolated cover, and the bait I used was a 1/2 ounce black and blue Hack-A-Tack flipping jig, matched with a matching Rage Crawl trailer. That's dominantly the trailer that I use most of the time when I'm flipping a jig. It just disturbs a lot of water. One thing I do is you can see the segments. I bite off the top 2. And what that does is shorten it up, and then I thread the Rage Crawl on the hook. And it just makes a beefy, compact lure. It's not long, but it's beefy. It's got a lot of beef to it. And the deal is, it's just great for flipping isolated targets, logs, cypress trees. And the other cool thing about a jig is you don't miss a lot of fish on a jig. You just catch the majority of the ones that bite it. Something about the hook being attached to the head. Now, I was using 50-pound torque braid, and this is a 710 flipping stick. This is a little bit lighter flipping stick than I punch with. And the reason for that is I'm using a little bit, you know, lighter weight. I really like a lighter rod when I'm 3/8 to 3/4 ounce, you know, with a jig. I like to be able to feel that jig and crawl it over that stuff out there, and a softer rod helps that. But I love braid. And typically, most of the time, I use 50-pound. I just feel like it's just real efficient, and it works the jig really well. Lou's Custom Speed Spool Reel. It's a Custom Pro, 8-to-1 gear ratio, my Hack-A-Tack flipping stick, one of the many. And, you know, just being real thorough, you know, was really the key today, was just taking those duck blinds apart, whether they had floating grass or, you know, there wasn't any floating grass, just feeling for every little piece of brush around it, any pieces of board, anything that fell off of the duck blind, the whole key to catching those quality bites today. Well, you know, basically we started off this morning, we figured out a way to generate a bunch of bites, but we were not catching any quality fish. And, you know, a lot of times it's hard to leave biting fish, but that's really what we had to do to try to catch a quality fish. When we got out here, started running after some more isolated cover, isolated patches of grass, you know, duck blinds, and them big ones showed up. You know, we were throwing a big fish bait. Nothing beats a jig for catching big fish, fall of the year, cool weather. So the next time you're getting a lot of bites, change up a little bit. Sometimes it can be simple as just a bait change. Sometimes it's completely changing areas, but I think if you give that a try, it'll help you out. We'll see you next time on Sportsman TV.